Do you like the Austrian culture?
Of course, yeah.
You don't have to say you like it just
I like
because
it.
we are from
No. I love it because why? I think I found out that at least 60% of people I meet here speak English.
Do you like the Austrian culture?
Of course, yeah.
You don't have to say you like it just
I like
because
it.
we are from
No. I love it because why? I think I found out that at least 60% of people I meet here speak English.
Do you like the Austrian culture?
Of course, yeah.
You don't have to say you like it just
I like
because we are
it.
from
No. I love it because why? I think I found out that at least 60% of people I meet here speak English.
I never forget with others. You were listening to 3 different sound files, meaning it's the same situation, the same question and answer, but recorded on 3 different recorders and with different microphones. And I did that because I often get asked for a recommendation. I want to buy a new audio recorder or an external microphone. What should I buy? And I never have an answer to that because it's so difficult. I often start then asking back, what do you want to do with it? What do you want? What's your kind of work? What do you want to record? How small and light does it have to be? And of course, what's the budget? And there is, about 10 years ago, there was a big gap on the electronic market with the disappearing of the mini disc and last DAT recorders that some of you probably well remember. And the first solid-state recorder showed a very poor performance in the beginning. And this situation has drastically changed. We have got today, it actually brought us into the agony of choice. We have got Sony, Olympus, Roland, Fostex, Marantz, Nagra, sound devices, Shure, Tascam, Zoom, and some others. And some of the brands sell up to 10 different models. And the price range is enormous, and the number of different features those things have is endless. So it's really difficult to make the choice. And to get closer to an answer, I decided to make simultaneous recordings with different devices. Here are a few. Here is the things that I picked to do this comparison. This is a Sound Devices recorder with a very good microphone. It's a Neumann MS condenser microphone. It's not the cheapest gear. It's about 8,000 euros together. And it's very much in use in film business, like sound engineers in film use them for on the film set. It's a professional stuff. The next one is the Sony pocket recorder, a small one. They also have other ones, but this one is, you get it for about 200 euros. It has 2 built-in microphones, omnidirectional. And this is very similar. Roland, it's very popular here in the ORF. We have drawers full of them, and nearly everybody is making their interviews with them. It's less than 200 euros. And finally, I bought this just for this test, actually, and I regret it. I bought this Shure microphone. It's MS, mid-side, that you can directly plug on your iPhone or iPad. And you get it for about 160 euros. But it's difficult to handle, I tell you. Anyway, first listening example. Just over there, next door, we have our drama studio. Wonderful studio for voice recordings. And very quiet, no environmental noise or whatever. Hardly any reflections from the wall, so the perfect conditions to make a voice recording. And I had my colleague Manuel was with me, and he stands very near the microphone, or microphones, better, telling us what he sees. But it's not so important what he tells us. I want you to listen to the sound of his voice, right? I repeat the same passage 4 times. And on the screen you will see the device we are at the moment listening to.
Wie gesagt, das SV88 von Shure, ein Sony-Rekorder, einen Roland-Rekorder, ein feines Neumann-Mikro mit Sound-Devices, 633, 3-Kanal-Rekorder. Wie gesagt, das SV88 von Shure, ein Sony-Rekorder, einen Roland-Rekorder, ein feines Neumann-Mikro mit Sound-Devices, 633, 3-Kanal-Rekorder. Wie gesagt, das SV88 von Shure, ein Sony-Rekorder, einen Roland-Rekorder, ein feines Neumann-Mikro mit Sound-Devices, 633, 3-Kanal-Rekorder. Wie gesagt, das SV88 von Shure, ein Sony-Rekorder, einen Roland-Rekorder, ein feines Neumann-Mikro mit Sound-Devices, 633, 3-Kanal-Rekorder.
Quick question.
Yes.
The first 3 were all with the same microphone?
No.
Oh.
No. Let me go back. You see this? You hear the microphone. You see.
Okay.
You hear this pocket recorder as it is,
Oh, okay.
right? It has integrated microphones, and the same with this. And here you see the microphone, right? So you got those 4. For me, it was quite surprising to hear the difference even under perfect conditions, actually. And I guess you heard it too. The iPhone mic sounds a bit thin to me, and before I bought it, I've been reading reviews about those iPhone mics. There are several, and this is the most expensive one, and it has got brilliant reviews, like natural sound, brilliant sound, and whatsoever. And I think it sounds neither natural nor brilliant. I give you another listening example because I asked Manuel to move further away. And in this very dry, like this, about 3.5 meters. So, and in this very dry room, and he's speaking with his normal voice, I need a lot more gain, a lot more sensitivity. And then we get into a critical or more critical situation because you hear the hiss, the self noise of the microphones that you probably all know and have all experienced yourself. No, I wanted another remark. You heard the iPhone mic, but on the other hand, you also heard the others, and there's a huge difference in price between the Sony and the professional gear. I mean, 200 euros compared to about 8,000. I think the difference in sound is far smaller. I don't know if you agree. Yes, please.
Can you take us to the first 3 vox pops we heard? We heard 3 vox pops. What was the order of the microphones in those?
Sorry, I didn't understand you acoustically.
The 3 vox pops we heard at the beginning.
What is vox pop?
The 3 people.
At the opening, yeah?
Yeah, but at the opening sequence we heard 3 microphones. You didn't explain which ones
Yes,
were which.
but I will explain all others. Right? Yeah, there will be more street scenes. Yeah. Okay. So, still drama studio, very dry, in a distance.
Ein Sony und ein Roland und die feine Neumann Shotgun mit Sound Devices Recorder. Ein Sony und ein Roland und die feine Neumann Shotgun mit Sound Devices Recorder. Ein Sony und ein Roland und die feine Neumann Shotgun mit Sound Devices Recorder. Ein Sony und ein Roland und die feine Neumann Shotgun mit Sound Devices Recorder.
So in my opinion, there's at least two candidates that will fall away now, which is the last two, the Roland and the iPhone simply have a too high noise level for my taste. And to bring this out more clearly, I did another test. It's a similar setting. There's a loudspeaker in the same distance, about 3.5 meters. And I made a loop, which actually consists of a pause between two words. You hear a breath, and you hear the T at the end of the word, and this is looped. It brings it out more clearly because there's a nice pause in between. And with the first microphone, you can hear the breath. It's not loud. With the second, you probably still hear it. With the third, I would say you might hear it because you know it's there. With the fourth, it's a clear situation. So much for the laboratory, where we don't record ourselves with this kind of gear. Johanna here? And I went down the street to Karlsplatz to do some interviews for the How to Be Austrian project. And due to handling problems, we only recorded with 3 recorders, with 3 setups. I'm sorry. I didn't start it there. And there was a woman sitting on a chair on Karlsplatz, and Johanna asked her about how it is to be Austrian.
Oder meinen Sie jetzt explizit die Flüchtlinge, die jetzt zu uns kommen, oder generell?
Nein, mehr eine generelle Frage, wie wird man österreichisch? Also was gehört da dazu? Muss man das lernen oder muss man hier geboren sein? Oder so?
Ja, wie gesagt, also ich bin in Österreich aufgewachsen, dadurch ist das für mich selbstverständlich. Oder meinen Sie jetzt explizit die Flüchtlinge, die jetzt zu uns kommen, oder generell?
Nein, mehr eine generelle Frage, wie wird man österreichisch? Also was gehört da dazu? Muss man das lernen oder muss man hier geboren sein? Oder so?
Ja, wie gesagt, also ich bin in Österreich aufgewachsen, dadurch ist das für mich selbstverständlich. Oder meinen Sie jetzt explizit die Flüchtlinge, die jetzt zu uns kommen, oder generell?
Nein, mehr eine generelle Frage, wie wird man österreichisch? Also was gehört da dazu? Muss man das lernen oder muss man hier geboren sein? Oder so?
Ja, wie gesagt, also ich bin in Österreich aufgewachsen, dadurch ist das für mich selbstverständlich.
I don't know what you think about it, but I think all the 3 recordings could be used in a radio feature. I wouldn't complain about them in this case. I want to state, I'm talking here about natural sounding, good recordings, and I'm not as opposed to trash recordings. But I'm not saying you can't use a trash recording in the radio feature. Sometimes it's stylishly the right thing to do. I just wanted to, in case of anybody wants to say this, I wanted to state this. But even if you want to do trashy records, it's good to know what gear to choose. We went on closer to the busy traffic. Here it was quiet. You just heard church bells and a few children playing in the background. But 200 meters further, there was heavy traffic, and Johanna asked the man about the Austrian culture. It turned out that he had grown up in Tunisia and emigrated to Austria about 40 years ago.
Also Sie meinen, so die österreichische Kultur, was gefällt Ihnen besonders gut an der österreichischen Kultur?
Super, wirklich. Die österreichische Kultur, wirklich, das ist meine Meinung, und habe auch viele Freunde, viele aus Arabien, aus Frankreich und so. Das ist wirklich, die arbeiten für solche Kultur, für die Zukunft, für die jungen Menschen. Die Politiker noch einmal, die kümmern auf diese Probleme, ja, aber sehr, sehr gut, zufrieden, sehr zufrieden, wirklich.
Also Sie meinen, so die österreichische Kultur, was gefällt Ihnen besonders gut an der österreichischen Kultur?
Super, wirklich. Die österreichische Kultur, wirklich, das ist meine Meinung, und habe auch viele Freunde, viele aus Arabien, aus Frankreich und so. Das ist wirklich, die arbeiten für solche Kultur, für die Zukunft, für die jungen Menschen. Die Politiker noch einmal, die kümmern auf diese Probleme, ja, aber sehr, sehr gut, zufrieden, sehr zufrieden, wirklich.
Also Sie meinen, so die österreichische Kultur, was gefällt Ihnen besonders gut an der österreichischen Kultur?
Super, wirklich. Die österreichische Kultur, wirklich, das ist meine Meinung, und habe auch viele Freunde, viele aus Arabien, aus Frankreich und so. Das ist wirklich, die arbeiten für solche Kultur, für die Zukunft, für die jungen Menschen. Die Politiker noch einmal, die kümmern auf diese Probleme, ja, aber sehr, sehr gut, zufrieden, sehr zufrieden, wirklich.
It's strange, isn't it? It was just 200 meters further. I think the first two recordings were okay, but with the iPhone and the Shure, I didn't change anything on the settings. It might have to do with this app, but there seems to be a strange dynamic filter that comes and goes with the wind or with the noise. I don't know. At this stage, I want to bring something back into memory. Many of you probably know about different stereo techniques. We have got this spaced A-B pair that's hardly used in features, maybe for recording atmospheres, ambiences, but mainly in classical music to record concerts. And we have got the XY mic array where you've got two mics in an angle to each other, two cardioid mics. It's often housed in one mic, but there's two capsules. And we have got the MS array or MS mic, which has got a mid straight ahead, which is a cardioid most of the times, and a figure 8 bidirectional mic that goes to the sides, which is the side signal. So we have got a mid signal and a side signal, and you can record it like this. And the fourth method would be the Kunstkopf for artificial heads. That was a very hip thing in the 1970s and 80s, and now comes back a bit into fashion with a 3D sound and binaural sound, funnily enough. But with the MS, as I said, you have two capsules, and it has several advantages. First, if it's in one mic, it's very compact, as opposed to two mics in a distance. You have got perfect mono compatibility, which is still quite an important thing for broadcasters, because many people listen in mono still. And it has a great advantage for feature makers. By adjusting the levels between mid and side signal, you can choose, do you take a narrow angle that goes to mono if you only use the mid signal, or a wide signal, a wide stereo. And you might need this. Sometimes it's handy to have this. I give you an example. The same man, this Tunisian man on Karlsplatz, I play you a short piece in stereo and then just the mid capsule without the side signal. Let me just go on there here with this mic.
Ich bin mehr Österreicher wie Tunesier. Wirklich, wenn ich nach Tunesien fliege für eine Woche oder 2 Wochen, ich will damit wieder schnell zurück nach Österreich. Wirklich. Ich bin mehr Österreicher wie Tunesier. Wirklich, wenn ich nach Tunesien fliege für eine Woche oder 2 Wochen, ich will damit wieder schnell zurück nach Österreich. Wirklich.
And you know, you can decide about this in the studio. You don't have to do this when you're recording, because it's so nice to have to only decide in the studio, okay, I want him closer, I want him more direct, or I want it more ambient sound. And you can play with it, you can let him come nearer or go away, or vice versa. I mean, it's limited, but it's a little play possible. Or sometimes it's very important if the surrounding noise gets even louder, or if the man doesn't speak so clearly. But you need this line, he said, this sentence to convey the story. It's just such a good possibility to just get this grip instead of having a recording where you just can't get it out. We moved on. Johanna and I, we took the underground tour to the windy outskirts of Vienna. There is this former airfield of Aspern. It's a century ago. It was Vienna's biggest airport. As I said, a century ago. And now it's under construction for apartment blocks and office blocks. And it was windy there. There were 2 young workers pushing a wheelbarrow over a little hill. I'm selling the original in the backyard. Actually, one was pushing and the other one was sitting in it, as you see. And they were having great fun. And we were running after them, asking them for an interview.
Kein Interview. Nein, bitte nicht. Nein, 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 nein. Bitte nicht, nein. Nicht? Nein, bitte nicht. Kein Interview.
Kein Interview?
Nein, bitte nicht.
Nur ganz kurz.
Nein, nein, nein. Bitte nicht, nein.
Nicht?
Nein,
Nein.
Worum geht's aber? Worum geht's denn? Kein Interview. Nein, bitte nicht. Nein, 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 nein. Bitte nicht, nein.
Nicht?
Nein, bitte. Worum geht's aber? Worum geht's denn?
It was really windy, and I must admit, I had the Neumann in the basket. Unfair. Yes, it's unfair. But Leo, you can put a good external microphone into a basket. And how do you do about an iPhone or a small pocket recorder? You can't put it into a basket because you have to operate it. And that's a good argument for a good external microphone, isn't it? So is it unfair? Yes, yes, as long as I'm honest enough and I tell you. Yeah. And of course, it doesn't have to be the high-end recorder. You can combine it with a pocket recorder as well. But as long as it's... and it's not only... It was really windy there, wasn't it, Johanna? But even if there's a lower wind, you get such a clearer recording. And there is only two things together that you can protect yourself from wind. This is a basket, a volume around the microphone, and maybe even a fur if the wind is strong, and if you cut off the low end of your recording. So these things together, you get a clear recording, even if in a storm. Yeah, it doesn't have to be this high-end recorder. Other combinations are possible, and we actually have. Let me here. We have these microphones here in the ORF, and people use them intensively in combination with different recorders, also small ones. I actually wanted to do my tests with it, but I could never get one when I had time to do my recordings because they are always in use. They're so popular now. And all I can say is the incoming material into the studio, which is my main perspective, has become a lot better with those.
Martin, can I just ask?
Yes.
Do you not find with less experienced producers, do you not find when less experienced producers go out with an MS microphone that you have facing problems when they come back? Because we, some years ago, bought a whole lot of MS mics, and we found ourselves reverting to a half cardioid mic because people couldn't handle them. They were too difficult for freelancers, for people who are making, you know, just maybe 1 or 2 documentaries to go out with those mics.
I don't know. Yes, there is 2 sort of candidates. Some who learn it immediately and some who never learn it. And a lot in between. No, I mean, phasing problems, no. You can't get a phasing problem with a coincident microphone. That's the great thing about it, because they are coincident. You get phasing problems, I think, with the compact recorders, because they often have 2 omnis very close to each other. And if you work with omnis, you have to get a distance that it works, the system works, because with omnis we differentiate the time difference. We calculate the time difference in our brain. So you only get a time difference if you have got a distance. So with these small distances, this is not what we are made for. Like we are used to one Abstand, the distance of your ears, or wider. And then you get phasing problems. But problems might occur when they are handling it on Pro Tools or whatever on the workstation. Yeah, but I think it's explained in 10 minutes. Francisco works a lot with it, don't you? And how long did we need? 10 minutes. Other comparisons are possible, of course. I compared some recorders years ago. No, not years ago. What I'm talking. Some time ago. Recorders in the range between 200 and 300 euros. And I found it even difficult to find a clear winner amongst those. They all have their little advantages and disadvantages. And sound-wise, I do say I prefer the Sony. And this may be followed by the Olympus, but this probably has a very simple reason. I think Sony still had the analog input circuits in their drawers from the good old DAT and minidisc time, while other manufacturers didn't bother developing a good circuit for their recorders. They rather have weird features and this feature, a lot of things that I don't want and I don't need. Knowing that those things sell. Let me just see what else I forgot. We were talking about internal microphones. Yeah, I said with those Omni microphones so close together, it's a problem, I think. iPhone has, of course, an internal microphone. It's mono, but it's a proper mic. It's designed for telecommunication, not for recording a feature. But it's a microphone, and before you, I play you a little bit that we have this comparison. I compared it with this one, with this Shure mic. And maybe those people who wrote those reviews, they also only compared it with the internal and not with the proper mic. So, yeah, I was standing about where Leo is sitting on our opening night when the band was playing, and I was just recording the band. Yeah, it sounds a bit further away. I didn't change my position, but it's an audio document that you can work with. I mean, a good sound is different for me, but it's better to have this than to have nothing, I guess. Yeah, and I could do a lot of tests. Like it would be interesting the difference between different sampling rates from 44.1 to 192 kilohertz, or especially what's also interesting, different mp3 layers, because there you really hear difference if you go down with the data rate. But maybe next time. Thank you for listening carefully.
Martin. We have time for questions if anybody wants to ask Martin anything about this area of recording, please.
So you didn't mention anything about shotgun microphones. So for example, I have a PCM M10 Sony, which I really like. And one of the big advantages is you can plug in a microphone, as you said. It doesn't have an XLR jack, which I think is its biggest limitation. But if you use an adapter cable, so for example, I use a 15-inch shotgun with a pistol grip shock mount, which I find very effective, which would obviously get rid of some of the problems that you showed in that 3.5 meter studio example, where you're having to crank up the gain. Obviously, if you're further away, you have that ability to focus in with a shotgun. What's your experiences with that, with shotgun microphones?
Yeah, I think shotguns are a great thing to have if you know the situation beforehand. Like if I want to record a bird and I know it's sitting on these loudspeakers and I only get that close, otherwise he flies away, I can use a shotgun. I still would rather use a stereo mic because I like the atmosphere. That's one thing. If I know I can't get close, and I need it understandable, I would take a shotgun. But how often do you know? You so often get somewhere and you don't know what will happen. So I think a stereo mic is the all-round thing to have. Huh?
If you can afford it.
Yeah, good shotgun microphones are really expensive. If they cheap shotgun mics, in my experience, sound cheap. I don't agree with you there.
Martin, you mentioned the comeback of the dummy head. Why?
Well, it's in all media now, and also in technical stuff. The return of binaural sound, and some stations we don't, but some stations do radio drama and radio feature in binaural sound. And for binaural sound, there is nothing better than the dummy head, I guess. And it makes a beautiful natural recording. It proved not to be the optimum on loudspeakers, and most people hear on loudspeakers. But we have tried so much now with surround sound 5.1, and we didn't succeed with it because people just don't sit at home between 5 loudspeakers. First, they don't have them, or they have them, but they watch blockbuster movies, but they don't listen to our program. But there's a lot of Bobo kids with 2 Macintosh and a download abo, and they put it onto their iPhone or whatever and listen to it on headphones. And I think maybe that's a way to reach people with a special sound. That's why I mentioned it.
Okay, any further questions?
What was you said with a little bit of instruction one could work that Shure microphone. What you were? Can you explain that shortly? You don't need you said 10 minutes, but you can compress it into a minute. From the Shure microphone, there was problems with this one MS microphone.
Yeah.
And then what was the? Can you clarify
with this iPhone microphone?
Yeah, the correct way.
I don't know what happens.
Oh, okay.
It seems to be a feature of this app that you work with it. It's maybe it seems to me I get what's might be behind it is a wind protection. If you want to protect audio from wind, you have to cut the low end, and the further you go up, the better wind protection you have got. I mean, it gets really thin, but still understandable. And this seems to be dynamic, depending on what comes in. But for our use, I think it sounds absolutely weird. It's a guess, I must say. Thank you for listening.